All right, today we're going to dive into the 7 things that you should consider if you're going to outsource your marketing to a marketing firm.
All right. If you're looking to hire a marketing company, one of the things you want to look out for is to make sure that that marketing company has clear objectives. That they understand your objectives and your goals.
Mhm.
Make sure that those goals are measurable and that you're able to state what it is that you want. They should be asking you questions about that. Like, what is it that you're trying to do? What does success look like for you?
Mhm.
So if you're coming, for example, if you want a website created, what's the purpose of the site? What do you want the site to do for you? What's success for you for that website? Like, how do we know that we have arrived at what it is
Yep.
that you want? Like, they should be asking you those kind of questions so that they can clearly know the path that they need to take so that, they're successful in your view and as well as being successful for your audience. So,
Yeah. So clear objectives, but also we need to look at what are the expectations,
mhm.
and that plays into that, but it also plays into pretty much everything we're going to be talking about today. It's
Mhm.
like, what are the expectations that you're going to have? But when it
Yeah.
comes to objectives, like how are you going to track that?
Yeah.
And what are you
Mhm.
going to track? What's meaningful?
Mhm.
Because one of the things I don't like is when somebody's like, you got 2,500 impressions and you got 50 likes and you got this. And I'm like, yeah, but nobody called.
Yeah.
So, you know, I get
Mhm.
it, but I can't pay my bills with impressions. It's got to convert, man. It's got to convert.
Yes.
But, whose job is that?
Right.
It's not marketing's job to sell your
Yes.
stuff. It might not even be marketing's job to generate leads,
Yeah.
but you got to figure that out. That's part of the process.
Yeah. That has to be very clear because there could be a lot of misunderstanding with that. And you, as a client, can walk away very disappointed because you're expecting one thing that that particular company may not be in the position to deliver. That might not even be what they do.
Mhm.
So you may be thinking, oh, well, if I go through this marketing company, then I'm going to generate 100 leads a month. And it's like, no, their job was to get your communication in alignment, to get consistency across your brand or whatever. And sometimes that takes time. That's not you may not feel that in 2 weeks versus another company that may focus on ad type of products where they're running ads, you see that immediately.
Mhm.
So you have to have realistic expectations. And that marketing company, when you're interviewing them and they're interviewing you, these things should be discussed.
Yeah. So I would say if you're the client, before you even call somebody, you need to understand what objectives you're trying to reach.
Yep.
Then call somebody.
Yep.
So if you're trying to get them to help you to figure out your objectives, you're probably not yet ready.
Right. Yes.
There's some other work you need to do first.
Yep.
All right. Number two.
All right. Number two is you should be checking for client reviews, check for their portfolio. You're looking to see if this is a legitimate company. Can they do what they say they can do? So ask to see prior work and see what other people are saying about them. Do they have any kind of Google reviews? Do they have any Facebook reviews? You're looking at that. And do they align with your values? Because you may be a purpose driven, mission driven type business, and you link up with a marketing company that doesn't really care about that. They just want to put up a website or put out some social media without really understanding who you are. They don't really care about that kind of thing. Then there's a misalignment there. So you're going to be checking to see if they are in line with what you believe in. Can they follow through with delivering the communication that you want to deliver? And have they done it before?
Yeah. I mean, especially the your core values,
Mhm.
because we're not talking about just I need to hire somebody to build a website. We're talking about I want to hire somebody that's going to basically be my outsourced marketing department.
Mhm.
They need to align with you. Otherwise, you might have some bleed over.
Yeah.
as far as, we don't really believe in this client.
Mm-hmm.
The same things they believe. And that could start trickling into how they do business with you.
Yeah, and that's important. I mean, even on the other side of it, speaking from the agency side of things, we're interviewing too. So
Mhm.
if a client comes and they're on some other stuff that we don't agree with,
Yeah.
then I'm not creating content for that. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to do it. We're not in alignment. It's not a good fit. No offense, but it's just not a good fit. So on the other side, as the client, you need to be checking to see if that company is in alignment with your core values. And if not, it's okay. It's just not a good fit. You need to find someone that's more in alignment with those values.
Yeah. Yeah. It reminds me, years ago, I had somebody come to me and they wanted a, let's say, risque website. And I was like, no, I am not touching that.
Nope. Nope.
No,
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 I don't even want to look at your content. I'm not alone. Think about it. Nope.
no, nope. We're
Nope.
done. We're done here. Oh, all right. Number 3.
All right, number 3. Do they have a way of implementing structured communication? So you're looking to see if they have a project management system. How often do they do check-ins or updates? Because one of main complaint that I hear from new clients when we ask, so, how was the last marketing company or how was the last designer? They'll say, well, they stopped communicating with me. I can't get in contact with them. And last time, it's been 3 months and we haven't seen any progress on our website. So when
Mhm.
you're looking for a marketing company to outsource, you need to be looking at how often do you guys check in and how do you keep up with all of these moving parts? Because if you're outsourcing things, there's a lot of moving parts from the written communication to design to the strategy. And if you're on multiple platforms and doing multiple things, there's a lot of moving parts. How are they going to keep up with that? Do they even have any kind of project management system, any kind of ticketing system? How do they communicate? You should be asking those questions.
Yeah. And I'll fuss at clients right now. This is how communication starts good and then drops off. One of the ways is the client is like ghosting the
Oh,
agency.
oh my
So
goodness.
the client's ghosting the agency. At some point, the agency's like, apparently this is not important anymore. And so the
Mm-hmm.
agency moves on to other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then the client will come back and go, but you're not communicating with me. It's like, do what you're not
Yep.
responding. So we just move on. We can't sit in a holding pattern forever.
Exactly. Be a
And
good
so,
client.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, you should hold your agency accountable, but you got to do your part too.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they're not going to, I hate to tell you this, but you're not the only client. And that's not to
How
That's
dare you?
that's not to belittle the client, but they got a business to run. So
Yeah,
they have other clients that they need to tend to, and they can't be chasing you. Like you have to do your part.
yeah.
And so
You
they're
can,
gonna send you updates, but after a while, they're gonna figure, well, maybe you're out of town, or maybe you don't have time for this, and maybe when you're ready, you'll reach out to us. And that's not the agency ghosting you. That's you not responding. So you got to do your part.
yeah. I mean, if you want them to be, or if you want to be their only client, you can do that. It just costs a lot.
Yeah, premium prices to be the only one.
It'd be more than that. Yeah. All right. Next one, number 4.
All right, the next one is, do they cover any type of quality assurance testing? Meaning, like, if you are with a branding agency, do they have brand guidelines? So, have they set those for you? Are they creating those for you so that you can have brand consistency across all of your platforms? So, how are they doing quality checks? Like, are they using the same colors all the time? Are they using the same fonts within your brand? Is it the same voice every time? All of these things are in a brand guide of some sort or style guide of some sort. If they're working on websites, what type of quality assurance testing are they doing? Are they checking links? Are they checking for SEO? Are they checking for page speed? What are they doing to make sure that your the products that they're giving you is top notch? And are they adhering to legal guidelines and the standard practices across these platforms? Like for email, are they standing, living up to the email marketing guidelines? Is your domain authenticated? Do you have certain things in the footer that needs to be there? All of those kind of things. So what kind of quality assurance practices do they have in place to make sure that you as a client have all of the things that you need to adhere to legal and standard practices and to make sure that you have brand consistency across all your platforms?
Yeah. Yeah. Here's a dirty little secret. If your marketing company is using your domain to send emails out and they're not doing it right, your domain could get blacklisted,
Yep.
which means that affects all of your email that
Yep.
goes in, goes out, everything else. And then you find out, oh, just because my marketing company is not using my domain properly, and now it's been blacklisted, and then you got to deal with trying to get them off blacklist. And sometimes
Yep.
that's not easy to do.
Yeah. And that's what happens when you pay $100 for a website. Just saying. I'm just saying. They're not checking that. I know they're not checking that. They're not
No,
checking those things. Okay,
no.
so we'll move on.
You speak from experience, ma'am. You speak from experience. Number 5.
All right. Does the marketing agency have long-term relationships? Are they, how long have some of their clients been with them? Are they looking to be an extension of your business, or is it just kind of like a one and done? They don't really care about you kind of thing. Oh, we just got another project, execute it, and you're done. Are they really going to invest in the growth of your brand? Do they even care about that kind of thing? You should be looking at that in your conversations, and you can tell when people are interested and when they're not. So look at that and be vetting that out when you're trying to look for your marketing company to work with.
Yeah, I would say on the client side, that's what you should expect. You should look for a company that is wanting a partnership. They're wanting a long-term engagement with you, not because they want the money, but because they want to help you build your brand.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to make sure that they are engaged through the entire process. And like you said, treat them like your outsourced. I'm sorry, treat them like your internal department, even though they are outsourced.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
call them up and say, hey, we got this campaign we need to run, or we got this new piece of equipment that we'd like to market, or we
Mm-hmm.
got a new whatever. Just
Yeah.
reach out to them. It oftentimes doesn't cost anything just to say, hey, we got this thing. We want to run it by you. What do you think we need to do as far as marketing goes about this?
Yeah, that's so important because a lot of times I think sometimes clients don't realize that if you don't give the marketing company data or information, then they don't have anything to work with. So you're in two separate environments. So you may have all kind of things going on. If you don't communicate what's going on, then how they can't really help promote it and bring an awareness to it. So you want to keep those lines of communication open and make sure that there's some regular check-ins happening because there may be some things that you might not think, well, I didn't think it was that big a deal. With a marketing company, it's like, that's a huge deal. We need to be talking about that. So you want to keep those lines of communication open for sure.
Yep. All right. Next.
All right. So the next one is do they measure performance? And so meaning like if you've built a website or the marketing company has built a website, are they measuring traffic? How often are people coming to the site? What are they clicking on? What kind of page speed do they have? That kind of thing. If you're on social media, is there any kind of reach happening? Any improvements there? Are they tracking success? And it can be a little bit tricky when you're depending on what kind of marketing company you're dealing with, and also depending on what that expectation is. So, like we talked about earlier, sometimes there's short term successes and then there's long-term successes. So when you're dealing more with the branding side, it can be a little bit tricky because you're talking long term. You may not see it in the first month. It may take 6 months for that awareness to really catch, for people to really see that, oh, wow, see this consistency happening.
Mhm.
So, but there should be some type of measurement in place. Like, okay, we notice that people are engaging more. We notice that our reach is going further. We notice that the analytics on our website, there's more traffic coming in, and they're coming in from social media. So whatever we're doing on social media is actually driving traffic to the website. Or our emails, how many people are actually opening the email? If you got like 50,000 people on an email list and no one's opening it, who cares that you have 50,000 people on the email list? Are you even looking at those metrics? That are people actually seeing the content that's being put out, and are they clicking on the links that you're referencing in those things? So that marketing company should be tracking those to see, okay, well, is this working? Is there any kind of A/B testing happening to see this headline is better than that headline? So when we talk about metrics, we're not just talking about dollars. We're talking
Mhm.
about how well um, are the activities working that you're doing. The things that I just mentioned in terms of open rates,
Yeah,
click-through rates, followers, reach, all that kind of stuff.
right. I would say equally as important is not just are they tracking them, but how often are they pivoting, changing strategy, because everything's
Yeah.
changing all the time.
Yeah.
It's not good just to say, oh, well, this isn't working. It's like this isn't working, so we're going to try this or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I would, if I had to throw a number out there, I would say probably every quarter
Yeah,
you
at
need to be
minimum.
probably, yeah, you probably are going to do some type of pivoting every quarter.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you're throwing the strategy out the window and doing it again. It just means that, okay, there's been a slight change here. We're
Yeah.
seeing this was working, at this percentage, and now it's not. This one's working higher. So there should be tweaks all the time. It is
Yep.
never a set it and forget it thing.
No, it's not. And that's so important because that's the whole point of tracking the metrics, is so that you know when to pivot. Like, how do you even know if it's working or not if you're not looking at any data to see if it's working or not? And
Yep.
so once you find out that it's not working, or maybe it is working, then you have to decide, okay, we need to do more of this or less of this. And yeah, a minimum of a quarter, minimum, but you can sometimes make a mistake. And when you see something is not working before that quarter ends, you need to pivot. You've wasted 2 months doing something that you know is not working. Like, pivot before then instead of wasting 2 months. So, are they looking at that? They may give you like a quarterly report, but they should at least be looking at that, more than just for that quarter, because you could have found out 2 months ago that that didn't work. So you need to have those kind of conversations and see if they're doing those things.
Yep. All right. Last but not least.
Last but not least, maybe you could start a small project if you want to just kind of dip your toe in the water to say, "Oh, okay, I think I want to work with this marketing company." Maybe we could start with a small project versus dumping all of your capital into a project and you're not sure about the company. So maybe start with a small project to see, what is it like? What was the communication like? Was it smooth? Did you feel comfortable talking to them? Do they make you anxious? So, I mean, that's the same thing on the agency side. Like, we're interviewing you just as the client is interviewing the marketing company. And if there's any anxiety, like, I don't think I like the character here because they
Mhm.
kind of stress me out, I don't really want to work with you, because who wants that kind of work environment? And so, the same thing for you. If you feel like every time I talk to this agency, I'm either dismissed, or they're talking down to me, or they're not listening to me on a small project, then it may be time to cut your losses. Don't keep investing in that if it doesn't work. So, a smaller project may be a good way to just test out the relationship to see if it's going to work or not.
Yeah. Yeah. I would definitely do that before I signed like a year contract or something like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know marketing takes a while. Now,
Mm-hmm.
you can't get all the results in a month,
Right.
but that doesn't mean you can't, approach it and say, hey, let's do a 3-month engagement and see what that
Mm-hmm.
looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Be reasonable about your expectations. It's not like in 3 months, I expect people knocking down my door.
Right.
But in 3 months, I know whether or not the communication is good. I know whether or not they're measuring performance, they're pivoting as they should. All those other things that arguably are more important, you can test those things out and say,
Yep.
okay, now I know the agency is good, even though I'm not getting the results yet because it's not been long enough. I can now feel comfortable saying, now let's go ahead and sign a longer term agreement.
Yep. Yep. That's the wise thing to do. So, 7 things you can do to vet out a marketing company when you want to outsource your marketing. Number one, make sure that they are checking to see if you have clear objectives and goals, and you need to make sure that that is ready before you even pick up the phone to talk to them. You want to also check for client reviews, look at their portfolio, and make sure they align with your values. You also want to make sure that they have a way of communicating, make sure they have structured communication. Do they have a project management system, ticketing system, that kind of thing? How often do they do updates? Fourth, you also want to see if they have any kind of QA testing, quality assurance testing practices in place with the services that they're providing. You want to see if they have any kind of long-term relationships. Are they that type of company that's willing to be an extension of your company and feel, natural when it comes to working with them? Six, you want to make sure that they measure performance so that they know when to pivot and that they're looking at the data to see if it's working or not working. And lastly, start with a small project to see if it's going to be a good fit before you invest too much time and too much money.
There it is.
There it is.
All right, folks. Thanks for watching, and be sure to join us again next time. And remember, it is not who you know, it's who knows you.
Yes.
And we can help you with that. See you next time.